I have come to dread the sound of chains grinding. That sound signals one of my units, and usually my carry is going to perish, and it's all that crab's fault. Meanwhile, we got that white-haired girl slashing everything to pieces and the crazy inventor lasering my backline carries. And don't get me started on that rat throwing exploding shrooms at me. Hey everyone, and welcome to another ProGuides TFT video. We have played the new patch for a week on the live servers and feel ready to rank the 14 new champions that hit the arena last Wednesday. Our tier list is based on what our challenger players see on the ladder, as well as items we see on most top 4 comps via various resources. We're going to look into each champion and rate them by their inclusion in top tier comps as well as individual strength. Try to squeeze the best ones into your comps for maximum LP gain while they're unchanged. Before we dive in, I just want to let you guys know that we have a Discord community and a new subreddit that are growing really fast. We have you all to thank for that, and we want to continue building our community and helping you to be a part of it. So make sure you check the link in the description below. We'll see you guys over there. S tier. Our S tier includes champions that will be very familiar, as you see them in most comps that manage to top 4 and often top the whole lobby. First up, Urgot. Let's be honest, you expected this. Contrary to popular belief, he's not broken, but the crab is definitely an amazing champion. His origin is not too great, but he is a protector, so that helps add him in a couple of comps, including the actual protectors. His ult is amazing once he starts snowballing, and is a solid level 9 add-in to many comps. The recent trend is to have him on the bench though, and pulling him in with Thresh for instant ult if the Thresh is level 2. Make sure to try that combo out, especially if you're playing Cybers. It can be your win condition. If the devs nerf Urgot, we actually expect this interaction to be the nerf, which means him getting his mana increased so that he doesn't instantly ult when pulled in by a 2-star Thresh. So use Urgot while he's hot and have fun installing that chain rattling into your opponent's nightmares. Urgot likes tanky items or the Shojin Hurricane combo. Rapid Fire Cannon is also amazing if you get it in a late carousel, since it makes him ult the back line where carries usually are. Next up is the devil himself, Timo. The little rodent has been doing so much damage lately in the TFT arena. Snipers really needed a solid AoE damage dealer with a spammable ability. Ashe does not qualify unless she has Shojin, so Timo was something the class really needed. The main comp he's a part of is Astro Snipers, but he is seen playing flexible comps like Brawler Blaster, running 2 Blasters, 2 Snipers, and 2 Vanguards with Nautilus to take advantage of the Astro trait as well. His spammable AoE damage and slow is decent in any comp, especially when it can enable kiting by champions like Vayne. One of our coaches played an Astro Cybernetics comp with Timo and Vayne as main carries to get to Masters in 10 games after the reset. Timo likes AP items but only really needs blue buff, since with Astro, he will only need 2 auto attacks and then send the Doom Shrooms on their way. Speaking of Vayne, she made the S tier as well. Although she's only part of Cybernetics, not really adding anything useful in other sniper comps, she made Cybers into S tier comp again, all by her lonesome. The fact that you can get 6 Cybers at level 6 is all because of this champion, and she can be the carry if you give her a chance as well. Vayne not needing a defensive item is quite important to her being able to carry games, and there's a hyper carry Vayne build going around where you give her BladeMaster Spatula. You should definitely try her out in your games, as she can snowball your mid game when playing Cybers, especially if you pair her with a decent frontline and a red buff Lucian. The HP she will save you early can mean a top 4, even if you can't quite hack the end game. You generally want Infinity Edge and Last Whisper on her, with Giant Slayer, Guinsoo's Rage Blade, Death Blade, and BladeMaster Spat being great on her too. We would never leave Gnar off the list. Along with his Astro buddy Timo, he replaced Cho'Gath with a bang, or should I say, a Gnar! As an all-around great frontliner, he's seen use in many comps that use brawlers, including Cybers, Blaster Brawlers, and Astro Snipers. He also is a great transition unit, and besides Urgot, also makes for a great Thresh pull, since he ults pretty quickly then. Gnar is the best frontliner to itemize, using tankiness, AP, and AD really well. He is one of the true bruisers of this game, worth itemizing over some carries even, because he's not just a meat shield when you put items on him. Gnar 3-star is actually a carry, almost one-shotting everyone he hits. He's quite difficult to hit due to his popularity though, so proceed with caution. Gnar's favorite items are Ionic Spark, Bramble Vest, Dragon Claw, Locket, and so on. Guardian Angel's not bad on him when you don't have Astro to guarantee his ultimate going through. That concludes our S tier. These champions have made the most impact to the meta so far, hence why they're up here. There are a few champions that were really close to making the list, but you will likely see them in the A tier, so let's move right into that. The first champion out of the gates is Riven, one of the all-time favorites of every person playing League. Whether it is to play or just watch her jump around, Riven knows how to make an entrance. Starting with her traits, both of them are really useful, sharing the exact same ones as Shen. She replaced Shen in comps like Cybers and Slash Bros, even though recent iterations of Slash Bros play both. Her highlight comp, though, makes no use of her BladeMaster class and minimal use of her Chrono origin. She joins Gangplank in the Sorcerer comp, making use of the spell power to make her effectively immortal. Riven and GP join hands in the front line and then just go boom and slash on the enemies. She's fairly hard to maneuver in the mid game as she has issues staying alive until 2-star. This makes Nicovies a pretty good galaxy to play Riven in, but only Nico her if you're losing. Otherwise, save them for GP for a massive spike when both of them are on the field. Riven's favorite items are Rabadon's, Guardian Angel, and Ionic Spark. You can also go for Morello's or second Rabadon's, just keep the GA around. Luden's is a decent item as well. Cassiopeia did not start out in the A tier. However, the success of the Metal Gear Snake comp, come on, that's a great reference, don't cringe like that, has propelled her into the A tier. Besides being a useful Mystic overall, usually replacing Bard when you hit level 7, but still want 4 Mystics in, Cassiopeia is excellent from early to endgame. You can get her fairly early and completely obliterate enemies that are not tanky enough yet. With proper itemization and positioning, you can carry that strength to the very endgame of the 4 Vanguards, 4 Mystic, and an Urgot comp. Cassio's favorite items are Morello, Blue Buff, and Rapid Fire Cannon. Her short range is a big issue, so if you don't get RFC, make sure to be careful with your positioning. Morello and Blue Buff are fairly mandatory for her to be worth your while. Victor is the last A-tier champion among the newcomers, and honestly, he could have been B-tier due to mostly being part of one strong comp, the Sorcerer Riven plus GP1. Battlecasts are not really at a good place right now on their own. Being part of the Battlecast Blaster Brawlers comp is decent, but the comp itself has been falling off, and so is Victor. However, as a champion, he is extremely strong. With just one item in the Sorcerer buff, he can annihilate backline. His targeting paradigm seems to be a bit better than Vel'Koz, the guy he replaced, and I've seen him kill 4 champions in one ult lined up in the back line. Victor items depend on his role in the team, but he generally likes AP items, of course. In the Sorc Riven comp, his best item is Thief's Gloves and or Star Guardian Spatula. Giving him any leftover AP item is really strong though, and his scaling is amazing, so try it out. I'm still waiting for the Battlecast Sorcerer comp with Victor as the main carry, so let's keep our fingers crossed. This concludes our A tier. Would you have added someone else to the list? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear how you experienced the game. While you type though, let's move on to the B tier. First one out of the gate in B tier is Zed. The Rebel Infiltrator would have been lower if all we had was the first days of the patch. Yes, he is great with BladeMaster Spatula, but that is so situational that it does not really qualify him for higher placement. However, we discovered that you don't have to have the BladeMaster Zed to actually run the 6BM comp. He is a part of that comp to give Rebel buff, as well as provide some disruption to the back line. The 6BM comp has been rising both in popularity and success, but since Zed without Blade of the Ruined King is not a core part of the comp, but rather a tag-along, he does not hit A tier. Zed's favorite items are, well, you know, Blade of the Ruined King. If you have that on him, it's worth putting more items on him, namely Guinsoo's Rage Blade. The third item can be anything, like IE, Last Whisper, RFC, and more. If you don't have Blade of the Ruined King, Frozen Heart is really good on him to provide even more disruption besides the natural AD steal he has in his kit. Nautilus swims his way into the B tier. He is the go-to for many Astro comps, especially Sniper. His ultimate is amazing in the early game as well. He's also part of another S tier comp, the Metal Gear Snake one. However, as a standalone unit, he does not make too many waves. He falls off quite hard late game, and even though he does his job, as one would say, at the end of the day, he is a 2-cost tank. He will not carry you to an amazing early game, even if you 2-star him, and he will not win you late game fights in most situations. As a solid unit, he gets a solid B, maybe B+, and keeps working hard for us in the arena. You usually never itemize Nautilus, but he sure likes redemption. As a frontliner, he is quite quick to die, and with that extra mana, if you run Astro, he might be able to ulti twice before he dies and heals your team with that sweet redemption. Bard is not far behind his Astro buddy. If he still farmed meeps during PvE rounds like he did initially, boy would he be S+. Bard gets a B because he is so underwhelming without Astro and 2-star. If he has both of these, he is an extremely solid unit that can help you slow roll while leveling up at the same time. Optimal use of him probably means adding him to an Astro Sniper build to make use of both his traits and still be strong enough to level to 8 and 9 with his health. Do not be baited by the early Bard and destroy your early game because of him though. Bard though is a great item carrier. He can use blue buff, Rabadons, and Thief's Gloves really well, carrying them for your intended target down the line. In an Astro setup, he can even carry Timo items, and since Timo does well with even 0 items if he has Astro, you can use them on Bard until you start losing and transfer them over. Go farm some meeps! Jonna made the B tier. She has a really strong class and an amazing ult, but her Star Guardian origin is holding her back a bit. Jonna instead is a tech unit, maybe a thresh pull unit at best. You will play Jonna when you're facing a lot of Vanguards, even if they have Mystic buffs, since their magic resist will be lower still. Her ultimate is amazing and synergizes well with high DPS comps, paired with great CC as well. And of course, she's amazing in Star Guardian comps, but only in the end game, and usually if you have Star Guardian spatulas to go for 9 Star Guardians. So unlike her colleague in the 5 cost category, Urgot, she does not make as much of an impact in the meta. Definitely do not underestimate Paragon as a tech though. It can literally win you the game when played at an optimal time, especially with all the tankiness going around right now. Jonna's favorite items are probably multiple chalices of power, though she's not really someone you would itemize. If you really want to, you can give her the Lulu treatment and Shojin plus Hurricane or Gwynsewer for more ultimates, though just one is usually enough due to its scale. Have fun knocking people up with her. This concludes our B tier, so let's move to the poor champions who got a C. Illaoi gives me nightmares at the top lane, but she's kinda underwhelming in TFT. Well, not all units are made to be carries, and Illaoi has an interesting mechanic in stealing tank stats. She's fairly low impact though, her biggest contribution being that you don't need to high roll a Blitzcrank early to get the 2 brawler start now. Paired with Malphite, especially if you manage to 2-star them early, they make for a really solid front line, especially if you can get a battle cast in to help her heal a bit below 50%. Her favorite items are no items. You're better off not itemizing Illaoi. If you intend to replace her, she'd be happy to hold Gnar's items for example, but not for too long. Even at 3-star, she does not do too much, so overall she's a champion that does her job, but has one of the lowest impacts at most points in the game. If you told me Kog'Maw made the C tier, I would laugh at your face. However, after careful consideration, that's what he deserves, compared to the results of the rest of the newcomers. Blaster Brawlers would rather use Ezreal instead since he gives Chrono, and the Battlecast Blaster comp cannot make it through the front line quickly enough, getting obliterated by stuff like Cybers, tank comps, or Sorcerers. He was also nerfed quite heavily during PvE, so we do expect a slight buff for him in the next patch, perhaps in his ultimate duration. His favorite items are the same for now, since he usually wants to make use of his Battlecast origin. He likes Static Shiv, Red Buff, and Giant Slayer, but definitely needs a defensive item now, like Trap Claw or GA. You can use Kog'Maw quite successfully to transition to Jinx later, but Jinx items have shifted to IE plus Last Whisper as well, so poor Kog'Maw is left all alone. Nocturne has fallen since the Blender days. Outside of a 2-star Nocturne locking down a carry of 2 in the early game, there's not much use for him in the current meta. Infiltrators have not really taken off as a class yet outside of Echo, so poor Noc will have to wait until then to have his moment of fame. Make sure you do not underestimate Nocturne early. He can 100-0 your carry within 1 ult. As with Illaoi, his favorite items are no items. He can carry some item for a later champion though, if you get a 2-star Nocturne from a Star Cluster initial carousel for example. He doesn't make a bad use of AD or attack speed items as he continues to attack during his ultimate. AP is not terrible on him early as well. Okay, we got them all. Remember, this is based on available data and the experience of our top players right now. A tier list is a guide for prioritizing the new champions. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't use a Nocturne in the early game or not play Battlecast Blasters because we said Kog'Maw is C tier. If you have the opportunity to do so and it would help you win, go for it. So go out there and climb that ladder. As always, we love your feedback and continue to bear it in mind while creating our videos. So hit us in the comments with your thoughts about our ratings. We really like interacting with our audience and hearing all your opinions. Good luck out there with your TFT climb, and we'll see you guys in the next video.